Background of Islamic Market Capital and Conventional. Transactions on the Islamic Capital Market or ICM are conducted in a manner that respects both Islam and Muslim consensus. Here, religious law, which is Sharia, is asserted to keep the market free of Islamic forbidden practices like riba, maisir, and gharar. The introduction of two-tier Sharia governance system for the ICM is another innovation spearheaded by Malaysia. The Securities Commission Act, which gives the SAC the authority to make decisions, was a component of the May 1996 formation of the National Sharia Advisory Council. In the third quarter of 2022, Malaysia has the greatest Islamic banking assets outside of the Middle East, according to information from the Islamic Financial Services Board (IFSB). It further noted that of 2022, 28.3% of all assets under management (AUM) were concentrated in Islamic fund assets, with Malaysia continuing to be one of these countries. Malaysia's Islamic Capital Market (ICM) has doubled its size in the last 10 years, and at the end of 2020, its Sharia-compliant assets were RM 2.3 trillion, up to RM 1.1 trillion in 2010.
The first difference between Islamic banking and conventional banking is risk management. In risk management, we are 3 points, which is the first one is distinct risk management approach, which is Islamic banking emphasizes risk sharing and asset-backed transaction based on Sharia principle, while conventional banking heavily relies on hedging and risk transfer instrument like derivative for risk management. The second one is risk management strategy. In Islamic banking, it promotes risk sharing and profit bearing among investor and entrepreneur through mudharabah and musyarakah contract, where parties share the gains and losses. Moreover, the conventional banking in risk management strategy is use risk transfer and hedging instrument to manage the risk. The third one is Islamic banking regulatory framework, which is when Islamic banking operate within regulatory system that incorporate Sharia principle into financial transaction, while conventional banking is operate under secular legal system established by government authority and international bodies.
Next is Sharia compliance and convergence. The first one is Sharia compliance in equity investment. For Islamic banking, investments are structured to avoid interest-based transactions, adhering strictly to Islamic guidelines, and investments must be vetted and approved by the Sharia advisory boards to ensure compliance. While for conventional banking, the first one, investments are made based on profitability without religious or ethical restrictions. The second one is there is no requirement for Sharia boards or ethical approval processes. The next differences is risk sharing versus risk transfer. Islamic banking emphasizes share risk and reward in investments through profit-sharing contracts like mudharabah and musyarakah. All financial transactions must be backed by tangible assets to avoid speculative risk, gharar, while conventional banking, the borrower assumes the risk and the bank is guaranteed returns through interest payments. It focuses on interest-based lending without the necessity for asset backing. The third one is in terms of ethical and social responsibility. In Islamic banking, investment activities must align with Islamic ethics and social justice, avoiding harm to society. Institutions may be required to pay zakat and offer qard hasan, which is interest-free loan, as part of their ethical mandate, while conventional banking is primarily focused on maximizing shareholder value and profitability. Corporate social responsibility (CSR) activities are voluntary and not mandated by religious guidelines. The last differences in Sharia compliance and convergence is regulatory and certification processes. Islamic banking products and services must undergo a rigorous Sharia certification process, often regulated by a central Sharia advisory body. There are ongoing assessments to ensure continued compliance with Sharia principles, while for the conventional banking, it follows conventional financial regulations without religious considerations. Regular financial audits are conducted without specific religious compliance checks. In summary, while both Islamic and conventional banking aim to serve financial needs, they operate on fundamentally different principles. Islamic banking integrates ethical, social, and religious guidelines into its operations, emphasizing risk sharing and social justice. In contrast, Conventional banking prioritizes profitability and shareholder value with fewer ethical and religious constraints. Understanding these differences is crucial for navigating the capital markets effectively. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is IMAN Khaleeda binti AZHA. My metric number is 291389. I will be presenting about Islamic equity market instruments. The first one is Sharia compliant stock. Sharia compliant stock is issued by openly traded businesses that have been permitted for investment. They are selected based on unique screening criteria that ensures they adhere to the Sharia principle. There are two types of screening criteria, which is business activity benchmark, and the second one is financial ratio benchmark. So the first one is business activity benchmark. This benchmark require two types of benchmark, which is 5% benchmark and 20% benchmark. For 5% benchmark, businesses that are for businesses that are dealing with interest and excess debt, such as conventional banks, gambling, alcohol, liquor activities, pork-related items, and non-halal food manufacture, and also entertainment that does not comply with Sharia, and tobacco and drugs. For 20% benchmark, 20% benchmark mostly for businesses that are trading of stocks, stockbroking activities, rental from Sharia non-compliant activity, and also other activities violate Sharia standards as stated by benchmark is financial ratio benchmark. Under financial ratio benchmark, there are two types of benchmark, which are cash over total assets and debt over total assets. For cash over total assets, it measures the proportion of companies' total assets that are held in the form of cash. Only cash that held in conventional account and instruments are considered. Cash held in Islamic account and instruments is excluded. The ratio of cash in the conventional account must be less than 33%. For debt over total assets, this ratio indicates the proportion of a company's assets that are financed by a debt. Only interest-bearing debt is considered in this ratio. Islamic financing or sukuk, which are compliant with Sharia principle, are excluded from the calculation. The ratio also must be less than 33%. Next instrument is Islamic Real Estate Investment Trust, which we call IREITs. IREITs is an investment strategy that merge the elements of real estates and trust funds. It allows investors to pool their funds to invest in a portfolio of Sharia-compliant real estate assets. Under IREITs, there are three types of REITs, which are equity REITs, mortgage REITs, and hybrid REITs. So the first one is equity REITs. In equity REITs, investor invest in and owns income-producing real estate properties. Equity REITs concentrates in constructing, developing, overseeing, fixing, and occasionally trading investment real estate. In equity REITs, investors earn revenue mainly by renting and leasing their properties to the tenants. Investors are not held accountable for the daily handling of their assets in the equity REITs. Equity REITs properties can be residential, commercial, or the combination of the two. The next one is mortgage rate. Mortgage rate provide financing to real estate owners and operators through the direct mortgage and financing, or indirectly by purchasing mortgage-backed securities. In IREITs, the ijarah contract is used to comply with Sharia principles. Mortgage IREITs produce incomes from leasing revenue or profits obtained from their Sharia-compliant mortgage assets. And the last one is hybrid REITs. Hybrid REITs engage in both real estate properties and mortgage assets. Hybrid IREITs derive income from several sources within their investment portfolio. The income of IREITs primarily comes from rental revenue, profits obtained through the sale of real estate assets, and returns generated from Sharia-compliant financial products related to the instrument that I am going to explain is Islamic Unit Trust. Islamic Unit Trust is a collective fund where investors contribute funds or invest for investment objectives, aiming to generate profits while adhering to the principle and regulations of Sharia law. Every aspect of a Sharia-compliant unit trust fund must strictly adhere to the Sharia principles outlined by the Securities Commission and other relevant Sharia authorities to ensure complete compliance. According to the Securities Commission guidelines, unit trust management businesses that supervise Sharia-compliant unit trust funds must have a Sharia committee. I included the guidelines by the Securities Commission for Islamic fund management. The first one, for the Islamic fund management company, they must invest only in securities listed as Sharia compliant by the SAC or Sharia Advisory Council on Bursa Malaysia. When investing in securities from foreign exchange, the Islamic fund managers must allocate funds to securities approved by the Sharia advisor or recognized by international Sharia standard setting bodies. And when investing in unlisted securities, it is advisable for Islamic fund managers to follow the SAC's methodology for determining the Sharia compliance status of listed securities. And the second one is Sharia advisor's duties and responsibilities. Sharia advisor must offer expertise and guidance on Sharia related matters, including ensuring that all aspects of the fund management services comply with Sharia requirements and comply and resolution issued by the relevant authorities. They also are required to review compliance report and investment transactions to ensure Sharia compliance. Furthermore, Sharia advisor also needs to provide written opinions and periodic reports confirming adherence to the Sharia principles. And the last one is, in the absence of specific rulings, Sharia advisor must apply intellectual reasoning or ijtihad to ensure Sharia compliance across all aspects of fund management operations.
Risk management issue. Islamic financial system compared to conventional financial system has a higher risk due to Islamic principle prohibits any sort of transaction that use interest or speculations. So the framework of risk management is asset ownership. So ownership must belong to a fund provider or lender. So this assures that both partner owns the underlying assets and share the investment risk and rewards. For example, we have ijarah transaction. The financier purchases an asset and leases it to customer for a defined amount of time, with the option to purchase the item at the conclusion of the lease term. The client benefits from using the asset while accepting the risk associated with the ownership. The second one is a ROR and riba-free transaction. This principle ensures that the financial transactions are done in a fair and ethical manner. For example, Islamic bond, sukuk, are designed asset-backed securities, giving investors a stake in physical assets or project rather than fixed interest payment. Similarly, the Islamic equity market issuance and trading are based on Sharia compliant mudarabah and musyarakah contract. The lastly is real investment and no use of speculation. So Islamic finance promotes investment in actual economic assets and productive businesses above speculative ones. So this contributes to sustainable economic growth and stability. For example, at least half of REIT total assets are invested in real estate, giving investors opportunity to diversify their investment in an income-generating real estate sector. In conclusion, the Islamic capital markets plays a significant role in contributing to the country's economic growth by adhering to Sharia principles to ensure that transactions are devoid of prohibited practices. Islamic principles and practices are guided by fairness, honesty, and risk sharing. This prohibits from any speculative practices, usury, and excessive uncertainty, separating it from conventional banking. Furthermore, the availability of Islamic equity investment market instruments provide Muslim investors with unique opportunities to invest following their religious belief, contributing to the growth and development of Islamic finance globally. Although ICMs encounter issues such as risk management, these may be addressed without breaking Sharia rules by adhering to framework of risk management in the Islamic financial system.